Okay, so I know a lot of you guys have been waiting for the Acrobrat build, and I've actually been waiting for these 3D printed parts before I can actually put this start putting this together. That's why this video has been delayed a little bit. Plus, I decided I'm going to put in the Caddx turtle camera instead of the RunCam split mini. And there was a bunch of like build tips and stuff that came along from Tommy. I don't remember exactly everything, so I'm going to put that down in like verbatim in the description so you can read that whole thing. But let me just give you some of the highlights. The included grommets here, like the bigger ones, they go on the cage. They have different densities. The black is the most dense, then blue is the second most, then red, and then white is the least dense. So in terms of softness and also pliability and how much movement you'll get when there's vibrations. So I decided I switched this out from the whites to the blue because I was told that in a warm environment like where I live in California, the blue one will get softer in the heat. So I don't want to use the white ones and have the cage just shaking like crazy. Kind of doesn't really do anything in terms of dampening vibrations. So I went with the blue and not the black because I think the black was pretty stiff. So we'll see how this goes. There's a website called Acrobrat.com where people are giving feedback on these grommets and which ones work better for certain setups. So in terms of setups means like motors and props. And also another thing I wanted to point out was these smaller grommets here that I was mentioning in the frame review. I thought they were for the mounting of the camera, but they actually are not. They're actually for mounting of the flight controller stack for vibration dampening. And these are like, I think these are like M4 holes here, and then you get an M2 hole in this in the grommet here. So I have a long screw that goes through the 4-in-1 ESC and my flight controller. And yeah, if you want all the parts, they're in the description. I will have also the parts in the flight demo in the later video. Some of these screws are included here. Let me just show you. There's a bunch of extra M2 screws and parts and stuff that were included to help you mount the flight controller stack and the camera. So you have some of these washers and some of these longer screws. I think these two here are going to be for the camera. Now the camera area here, this standoff is 25 millimeters wide. So obviously using the 19 millimeter with the camera, whether you use the Caddx or the split mini, you're going to need some spacers on either side of this hole here. And he mentioned that there were supposed to be some M2 3mm spacers included in this little pack here, but apparently I didn't get that. So I'm going to have to come up with something else. You're going to need to put that basically on the other side of the screw here, in between the side plates, so that you can mount the camera, because you can see that the width here is 25 millimeters and the camera is 19 millimeters. So you need two 3mm spacers on either side to mount the camera inside this cage. Not a big deal. I'll probably just print something like a TPU part or something like that to get that mounted. So I'm pretty sure that the production units or whatever, they're going to have those particular spacers available. Another build tip I want to mention is you want to probably, if you're going to be landing this on concrete or something that's going to scratch the bottom here, this right here is going to rub the ground if you land on something rough, and eventually this will delaminate. And so that's why I got these 3D printed parts. These are from Brain 3D, and you can see they're kind of like landing feet, and that will raise up, as you can see here, raise up the bottom off the ground. So when you land on these, these won't get damaged. And another thing to note is that if you do land really hard or crash, the whole top cage is designed to move a little bit to absorb vibrations, but in a hard crash, the whole cage will move. So you want to make sure that your stack and any of your boards here are not too close to this side plate, because yeah, you can see right there, it's going to be lined up right on the side of the board there. And if it's like butted up right against the cage there in a really hard crash, you might damage your board, or perhaps like on this side your USB port, something like that. So you want to keep the stack as low as possible, and you can see here that I have a lot of space there. I put my own screw in there and some spacers and stuff for this particular setup. I have just a 4-in-1 ESC 28 amp, and I have a Maytech F411 mini board. So the reason I got that board is I'm going to be using a GPS and I need a lot of UARTs, that kind of stuff. But I think this might be a pretty good board. It's got an MQ6000. It's got its own little silicone vibration dampeners there, along with these. Plenty of vibration dampening here, so I don't think I have any issues there, along with using these 3D printed motor mounts that also basically acting as a little bit of a soft mount to these motors. And so yeah, plenty of vibration dampening here. But yeah, you want to make sure that you have enough space between the top or the bottom part of this cage here and your electronics, so that in a hard crash you don't have that cage slamming into your electronics and breaking stuff. So it's another tip. And then one more thing, the battery plate here, he recommended not using the entire piece of ummagrip that comes with it. This is just there for make sure the battery doesn't slip. So you want to use a smaller piece. I'll probably use maybe a piece about this big and just put it there. And you'll see that later. And then you want the battery to actually be resting, or when you strap it down, resting on the top of the cage, so that the battery's mass acts as a vibration dampener as well. So any vibrations that happen to come through the arms and the frame up through the side cage with the mass of the battery will prevent shaking. You want direct contact of the battery on these carbon side plates, and you just want the ummagrip there a little bit there, just to prevent it from sliding back and forth. So that's another tip. And then the last thing is you probably want to sand out these battery strap holes, because they are pretty sharp coming from the factory, and in a hard crash you'll probably snap your battery strap if it's sharp. So I just used some diamond files and smoothed it out, so that in a hard crash the battery strap should maintain or should stay intact. Okay, so just a quick overview of all the parts I'm using. As I mentioned before, 4-in-1 28 amp ESC. I think it's a 3 to 4S ESC. Maytech F411 mini board. Got an AKK FX3 video transmitter in the back. That one goes up to 600 milliwatts, using a Foxeer Lollipop 2 antenna here in the back. So this is the new Foxeer Lollipop 2. We'll see what video reception and transmission is like on that one. Using the HGLRC 1407 3600 kV motors. Is one of my favorite 1407 motors. Very smooth, good power, pretty good flight times too. So I went for like a little bit lower kV instead of like a 4100 kV. Not really going for ultimate power here. I just want decent power, but also decent flight times. And then I'm going to be mounting the turtle camera in here, of course, in the front. And of course, there's these 3D printed parts from Brain 3D, which are pretty nice. You get the motor guard bumpers here, also acts as landing feet. You have also in the back a different variety of different kinds of pieces in the back here. You can have axis antenna, just kind of a stubby that's in the back here, along with say like you want to use a free sky receiver, 2.4 gigahertz antennas. They have a different part for that. This particular part is for the Immortal T antenna, so the Immortal T is going to be in the back here. It's going to be slotted in there, and I could probably put a GPS on top of this. There's different pieces here for that setup, as well as different feet, and then there's also these front bumpers as well. I would encourage you to check out the link for these parts. If you go to that page, there's a variety of different ways you can set this up, get different colors, different looks, and also different parts for whatever particular setup you're going for. Anyway, I hope this video was helpful for you guys in terms of getting your Acrobrat up and running, in terms of all the build tips and stuff. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll have obviously separate video on the flight demo and everything like that. And hopefully in the near future, I'm almost done with this and getting this together, so I should be able to get something there pretty soon. So you'll probably see a video within probably about a week from now. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.